It's a pleasant welcome to a special edition of the program where I have in the studio as my guest former head of state, the Republic of Sierra Leone, Captain retired Melvin Strasser. He's here with me in the studio. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Abdullah.
Ever since you returned to the country from where you sojourned in the United Kingdom, let's begin to talk a little about life after your presidency.
Well, like you pointed out, I traveled to the United Kingdom and enrolled in a university and studied law and came back for about 2-3 years.
After which,
I developed a project and implemented it.
since then, Captain Strasser, you've been pretty much silent. In other words, pretty much unnoticeable within the governance structure in the country. You've witnessed successive two elections. 2012, I'm aware.
What was that?
2012 elections, we were here.
Yeah, that's true.
And now the current one, 2018.
Right.
We've seen the first phase of election concluded with two political aspirant candidates going for the runoff. Dr. Matthew Wilson's Samura Kamara, retired Brigadier Julius Maada. They will be contesting for the Tuesday, March 27 presidential runoff. Both gentlemen, I'm sure, they've worked under you as former head of state. How much will you want to relate to the audience about their individual character when it comes to good governance in the state?
I think it's in terms of record. I mean, track record.
Track record, yes.
It doesn't matter to which political party they belong. Both have served in public office, but in two different capacities. Maada was Maada was deputy chairman at that time, but he was in uniform. It was somebody at the time who I saw as committed to the sort of work that he was doing, given the duty that the army had to play at that time, given the security situation in and around the country. Whereas on the other one, Dr. Samura was more or less the finance man. He was working with Steve, I forgot
Steve Suarez.
Steve Suarez, yes,
Bank
the bank governor then. And I think he was financial secretary. And he was one of the pioneers of the economic enhanced restructuring support program that had funding from the IMF. It was a program that was like a debt buyback or debt cancellation thing. We inherited a huge debt stock at the time when
Yes.
we
Took over governance.
took over the reins of
Power.
governance. Yeah. So that debt stock had to go, so that the country could then become eligible, for new loans and apply for new grants. Well, he was one of the architects of the restructuring economic, program that actually, wiped out Sterling's debt, one, and then access new grants and new loans, for public sector reforms and the like. He had no stain, for all I know, until such time that I left. He was both diligent and, committed to duty and service. I can't say anything bad about him. As a policymaker then at that time.
Retired Captain Strasser, let's look at the two gentlemen in-depthly. You've given a brief synopsis about who Dr. Samura Kamara is. Let's focus a little bit on retired Brigadier Julius Maada. These two gentlemen,
yeah,
they serve under you as head of state.
Right.
How much do you know about retired Brigadier Julius Maada?
Well, we trained together in the first instance. It was one of 18 in a batch, trained, in 1983, was it? And we all commissioned in 1984. We were in training school for about, just over 8 months. So I can't say I know him very, 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 very well, if you know what I'm trying to say, because afterwards we all got posted out to different units. He was serving in another unit, and I was serving in another unit. So we had little time to interact. Now the ones who I served with from the same batch, in the same unit, those ones I can tell you that I know much about. I mean, the likes of the late Lieutenant Masaka Mashekuku. We were all in the same batch. Who served with me in Teko, the 2nd Regiment of the Republic of Sierra Leone at that time, 2nd Battalion, I mean. He's dead, by the way, he died during the fighting. The likes of the late Major A.G. Naboon. I can tell you that I know much about those guys because I served with them in the same unit for several years. Well, that's not the case with Maada. It's not the case with Maada. I can also say a similar thing for the late Captain Saj Musa. He served in the 1st Battalion for all the years he was in the army, and I was in the 2nd Battalion. I can say the same for S.J. Musa as well. I don't know much about him. But what I do know is that that we were all trained together. We got commissioned on the same day and started our service.
Retired Captain Strasser, Maada, before the coming of Samura Kamara in 2018 presidential elections, put himself forward for the presidency of this country. But there are issues that seem to be haunting him. So many of them. One, the hue and cry, the condemnation about him topple you as head of state then. It doesn't please so many people. They thought it wasn't right. You would have been given this opportunity to actually make some transformative growth and development in the country. Cutting short that ambition of yours, taking you out of the throne, angered so many people. How, when you sit all by yourself and recall those memories, do you hold a sense of despair or you feel pretty much betrayed?
Well, that's the thing. People always use conspiracy theories, to justify the various ways, they see things.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, and that's unfortunate, though. It might seem difficult, for people who did not do military service, to understand what I'm trying to explain here. Yep. You see, you have two types of commissions in the armed forces. One is the short-term commission. The second one is the Long Service Commission. The short-term commission runs for basically 10 years, and that's it. Say, for example, if you got enlisted in 1980, in 1990 you should leave, you should go. If you short service commission. Alternatively, if you long service commission, I mean, these are choices that are open to you. You know, you say which of these two
you choose.
Yeah, if you understand what I'm talking about. The long service, commission of service runs for 22 years, which means you can still be in service and make it, say, for example, to ranks such as colonels, brigadiers, as in his case, lieutenant generals, and upwards, because you have, so long a time, year to serve. Now, but my case was such that I graduated in 1984, thereabout. In 1984 as a cadet, in 1984, and started serving in the same year. So you would expect that 10 years added to that would look like something like 1994, no? Something like 1994.
Yes.
So I ought to have gone then. I mean, the strange thing was, I was in that place as head of state, and then this found me. So on records, my service.
You would have gone.
Yeah, my service has already ended.
Okay. Because it's a short-term commission.
Because it's a short-term commission. Except if I had applied for extension, which I wasn't too willing to do. I felt that, I had served, my country well, given the difficult periods, that the country found, itself in, at that time, against the background of the fighting going on between, forces loyal to the government and, Fulisanko and the Revolutionary United Front. So I thought, mine was this and that. That's the first thing. That's the first point I should make. The second point is why Maada would argue that it was a coup d'etat and that it wasn't an interregnum. According to him, is that I was the one who was opposed to elections, and I never wanted elections to go ahead as scheduled, which is not true. The facts,
you were not committed to upholding the principles of democracy.
He is saying this, or are you accusing me?
No. I'm just reiterating what.
But this is what he's saying. I don't know. To make him, perhaps more popular. As a politician, so that he gets the numbers that he's looking for. Okay. He maybe feels that by defaming me, would make him more popular among Sierra Leoneans. That's what he's saying. But the facts are saying, the facts are telling a different story. I hosted Bintumani 1. It was if you remember.
Yes.
Bintumani 1 was the conference that actually had, delegates from all political parties in the association. I mean, all the political parties registered. I think that government registered about 17 political parties, including this very All People's Congress and the very People's Party, the SLPP. SLPP was dead and gone. If you remember. We were a single party state for something like 30 years. Yeah. So there was no opposition at that time. It was that government that actually registered, the SLPP and brought it back to life.
Wow.
Yeah. Bintumani 1 set the date for election. Remember, the schedule was a 3-year one. If you remember.
Mm-hmm. I recall.
But you must have been a very young man then, perhaps that's why.
I go into history and read on
it was a 3-year schedule. you know, for the registration of political parties, the registration of voters, you know, etc., etc. You know. Then I left, given that 10 years, that 10 years golden rule, if you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. Then he succeeded me and became, naturally he would, yeah, because he was the deputy. He was my deputy. So I mean, even when I'm away, he would act as, you know, head of state. So he became head of state and appointed, you know, a new deputy. And then called for Bintu Mani too. I wasn't the one who hosted Bintu Mani too. I mean, those ones who know the facts would, you know, would tell you this. I was not the one who hosted Bintu Mani too. It was him, when he became head of state, who called for Bintu Mani too. At that time, you know, the groundwork had already been done, you know, where the rebels were saying that they're ready to begin peace talks. Yeah, they're willing now to talk peace. So what he did, you know, in Bintu Mani too was to insist that now that the RAF, you know, fighters are, you know, are ready to lay down their arms, that they should begin, you know, both informal and formal talks, you know, with the group before the elections. If you remember, it was in May.
Okay. Captain Strasser, the indication now is that Maada is still in governance. He contested the 2012 elections.
And lost.
He lost the 2012 election. Now
Yeah.
he's in the race for the 2018, and we're going for a runoff in the next 1 week.
In fact, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, okay.
Sorry to interrupt you. What I found strange with the results so far is this. How can you say that a party, a political party, you know, has won 56.1% of the number of seats in the House of Parliament, yeah, and then put the opposition's, you know, presidential candidate in the lead in the exit polls? The numbers don't match. If you understand what I'm trying to point out. I can't understand why Julius Maada should be leading Dr. Samura Kamara. 43-42. I can't understand.
And the cumulative percentage is 103%, not even 100%.
You mean the total?
The total is 103 for the first time. It should have stayed within 100%.
It should have been you know confined to 100. So you see, like evidence of overvoting or what?
Rigging ballot stuffing?
Yeah, or ballot stuffing, would you say?
The question is,
yeah,
the people of this country are now given this opportunity to choose between the two presidential candidates.
Yeah.
Dr. Matthew Kamara and retired Brigadier Julius Maada.
Yeah.
On the question of these two personalities who has the interests of the country at heart, in terms of having the wherewithal when it comes to real governance issue, understanding the economy of the state, the intention of moving this country forward, in your view, who do you think should have been a better choice, or a logical choice if you choose?
But if you remember, it was the same Dr. Samura Kamara who accused. Remember, he served him as his finance minister. You remember?
Yes.
The so-called MPRC 2. The so-called. In fact, most people don't know the name. You know that government had. You know, after I had left, it was RMPRC. He reformed the old one. I mean, he added more members to council, and the thing became the Reformed National Provisional Ruling Council. He headed that junta, and Dr. Samura Kamara was his finance minister. You know, he moved him up, and relieved, you know, this man who became the presidential candidate for the National Unity Party at that time, Dr. John Karimo. Dr. John Karimo. Now the thing is, it was the same Dr. Samura Kamara who accused him of making off with 18 million United States dollars. Can you trust such a man with your taxes? Would you?
It's for the people of this country to actually answer to that question.
Exactly. Well, I think that's what voters should be looking at.
In addition to this,
In contrast, that name, Dr. Samura Matthew Wilson Kamara, has never been mentioned or implicated in no corruption scandal throughout the life of this government. Never ever. So you see how stainless the man is? People like Musa Tarali got fired for what perhaps you and I don't know. The vice president got sacked for his involvement in some shady deal. Do we know the details? No. But Dr. Samura Matthew Wilson, Kamara, has never been lined up, as anybody to face, corruption charges before the Anti-Corruption Commission. So that's the sort of person that you can trust with your taxes. Somebody who's open and accountable. Don't you think so?
The risk involved in entrusting the confidence in ruling this country on the two individuals.
Well, I don't think one person can speak for millions. I mean, if you remember, there were a total of 3,165,000 voters registered. I mean, knock away the 165,000. Say turnout is pretty low, yeah, bad weather situations and so on, or etc. etc. Yeah, they are the ones who should decide. I don't think it's for me and you to say so. I mean, they should use their ballots and make the choice that they should make. I might vote Maada anyway, after saying all of this, about him. Who knows? There are those out there who they got red shirts underneath, and then they done and green t-shirts on top, and tell people that the politics in this country is watermelon. Today they red, tomorrow they green. I don't think a single country, should have several, political boundaries, based on political party philosophies. No dogma, no doctrine.
Captain Strasser, you will be in a better position to make an assessment of the governance structure in the country for the last couple of years, because you've served as head of state. You were one individual that people tend to revere with reverence during your statesmanship. What is your impression about governance?
Governance? You mean
the entire governance system, the way the country, where we're moving as a country, catching up with other developmental trajectory and all the rest.
You mean in terms of performance?
Performance, yes.
Output. But I think people should not forget, that some progress has been made in areas such as disaster relief, one, disease control, two, infrastructure, and agriculture. I mean, people should not forget that good things came out, from, this regime. Like, such as areas like those ones mentioned. There may have been other things, like, line of pipeline projects, that are still on the way. You've got this new international airport, Malama, that is yet a pipeline project. There might be new projects that would come if given a chance again to form the next government. Well, I know the longer periods are getting longer. I mean, the challenge still remains rising unemployment and poverty levels. A lot more can and could be done.
There is this perception about politicians feeling this negative tribal sentiments across the country. And we witnessed this immediately after the first round of the presidential election results were announced. When you look at the voting pattern,
yeah,
the southern eastern part of the country, they voted overwhelmingly for retired Brigadier Julius Maada. And this is a gentleman that managed to have scores even in the north. And Western area, but exclusively for the like of Dr. Samura Kamara, what seemed to be coming out as a remarkable score, especially in the eastern part of the country and southern part of the country, we are just the zeros. So the indication is the people of South and East acknowledge that this is our beloved son with whom we are well pleased. But what is your opinion about the voting pattern in the country, for which people may now have been attributing it to tribal attachments, emotional attachment, and all
If you first and foremost, if you looking at, vote counts, I mean, with this election, what's this thing interfering with, results at neck using computers? Is it match fixing?
It could be.
It could very well be. Gainsaid. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I mean, say what you like. Say what you like. Given, the many tribes, that Sierra Leone, do have, including the bigger ones as well as the many smaller ones. You cannot take APC, neither the SLPP from them. Because every parliamentary elections, these are the two parties you'll find with MPs. It's only these elections, NGC got 2 seats, and the C4C got 4 seats in Kono. And Dr. Kande Yunkela got. In fact, that's strange, and that's remarkable. The only parliament that had a third party with MPs is the parliament just before the late President Ahmed Dr. Chirankaba ended the storm in office. I think PMDC had 10. But all the other elections, if the parliamentary elections, you'll find most times it's the APCU would be in the majority, and the SLPP would end up as the minority in the House. No other parties, you'll find, with the MPs representing, the interest, of, blocks into the regions and so on. If you understand what I'm talking about.
I understand.
So that tells you the way people vote. I mean, that gives you an indication as to who and who, Sierra Leone and so on, to represent them in the House of Parliament. Would you change that?
So in other words, it's not going closer to the perceived tribal connection. It is nothing tribalistic about this.
I don't think it has anything to do with tribalism. It's what people feel, could benefit them. That's what they're doing. I think that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I don't know. Why is it, the South is so attached, to the SLPP? If you remember, the South was the most affected during the fighting. And for one thing, the SLPP actually did bring peace and built peace. If you remember, it's as if that's what is, has made them so attached, to the thing, because of the peace. Peace is hard won. Peace is hard won. They suffered. Most of the war victims, are from the South.
Could it be a justification now? The things he's saying, it's as a result of the SLPP bringing peace to the country that they seem to be attached much more to the SLPP as a party, and by extension, Maada saying he is the father of democracy.
He's even saying that he was the one who brought peace,
Because as a tender
to but he wasn't the one who signed the Lome Peace Agreement, was he?
Well, remember a point where he transferred power to Tijan Kaba,
Which was good.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy that he did so. I thought he was going to hang on. Had they allowed him at Bintumani too, you think that would have happened? Should I come again?
Come again, yes.
Let's say Bintumani too unanimously agreed that, peace talks should begin and that the election should be postponed. Would that have happened at the time when that happened?
I am looking at the flip side, retired Captain Strasser, on having all of those disposition, the military guys around him. He would have insisted, even as an association where the people were persistent to actually return the country to democracy.
Yeah.
But on his personal disposition, he said, you know what? For the collective benefit of this nation, I will hand over power to civilian government. And he did so genuinely by giving power to...
Yeah, under international pressure, of course, and the one coming, from within or domestically. He had to.
He would have been tempted to have resisted all those.
No, but are they giving him the mandate, to say begin peace talks, until you sign a peace agreement, then we begin to go now for elections. He would still have been there, wouldn't he?
Is retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, in your view, a very fine gentleman?
I told you that I don't know much about this man in terms of...
They literally know about him.
In terms of... What do you mean by, fine gentleman? What are the yardsticks?
The yardstick, being a fine gentleman, somebody that is...
A virtue like that one.
Yeah, somebody that is pretty much committed to upholding the democratic credentials of the country. Somebody that...
including respect for human rights?
Yeah, respect for... Well, that seems to be questionable now.
Yeah, that's questionable.
What's your memory towards that?
Why were there shootings at James Jonas, residence at the time, before the results were announced?
Who would have stopped the killing of 24 military officers then? Who would have stopped the execution of other people at Patemba Road that were practically killed and all the rest of it?
You talking about extrajudicial killings?
Yes.
But would you say no to the death penalty? They were condemned to death by firing squad in very much the same way like Kula Samba and others were condemned to death by firing squad. The good thing is, I was happy when President said that his government never committed not one single extrajudicial killing.
That is President Anis Baikrono.
Which is why this government's human rights record is good. Well, compared, that with the SLPP when they were the government.
Do you see that as...
Do you remember how many people got summarily executed by Nigerian soldiers, for so-called collaboration? Do you remember how many collaborators got executed? Tens of thousands. People tend to forget. The death toll stood at 10,000 innocent civilians lost their lives during that interregnum, January 6th, you can remember. Several people got rounded up from their homes, taken to unknown places and executed. People who did not go to Guinea, were seen as anything. And they introduced a militia, to take the role of the army. How can you do a thing like that? It's unconstitutional and it's unacceptable.
Are you justifying the instances of killing?
No, I'm not saying that anybody has the right, to claim the life of another. It's simple murder, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But laws could be reformed, no? If the penalty specifies, that if a conviction is upheld, that's what happens, except with the prerogative of mercy.
As we speak, those are issues that keep haunting retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio as we move into the election campaign. So many people seem to be mooting up those issues by way of having capital gain as a result of what he did then. Do you believe those are strong enough arguments that will minimize his chances of becoming a winnable candidate?
I have still not been able to get the point yet. But what are you trying to drive at?
The issue of this extrajudicial killing, ever since he was a member of the NPRC, still keep haunting him. You have family members that are calling for justice to be restored. And him putting himself forward as a presidential candidate of the Sierra Leone People's Party.
But hang on.
People are saying, are saying it has a tendency to reduce his chances of becoming a winnable candidate. Do you see that argument strong enough?
Come on. Let's say he wins, the second round, for example. With the SLPP, with a lower number of seats in parliament, would he be able to form a government?
Perhaps we're looking for a government of inclusion.
Do you think anything would work?
In his view, maybe. It will serve
No, but in your view?
No, maybe it will serve the purpose well for him.
With his party, with a lower number of seats in parliament, would he be able to sign any bill into law?
It will put the test of his negotiation power to the front light. How to bargain to make your way, meander your way to get through governance.
Have you ever seen that happen in any democratic country?
If I've never seen an example of it, perhaps anticipatedly we would love to see one if he succeeds.
A party in minority in the House of Parliament.
Yeah.
And heading a government with MPs, with party MPs, minority in Parliament, and the opposition with majority seats. Would anything work?
Maybe in his view it will work for him.
Or in his view?
Yeah, in his view.
For him, maybe in his view. But do you think that's the way Sierra Leoneans would do things?
Well, again, we go to the question of what went wrong. Where the majority seat won by the APC within the capital city does not reflect the percentage for the presidency.
That's strange, isn't it?
It is. But somebody somewhere ought to have been taking the blame.
So you're saying literally that a lot more vigilance has to be put into checking some of these malpractices into the second rounds.
Extra vigilance
is needed.
Yeah, it's needed, and monitoring of the entire process.
I strongly agree with you.
Conclusively, retired Captain Strasser. I have been talking to a lot of current serving military officers. Past. They revered you with reverence. I don't hesitate to name. We have one retired Major Matthew.
You mean respect? They've got respect for well.
Yeah.
Retired. Perhaps it's what they know me for. What
retired
I'm not.
Major is now a Dr. Matthew Kamara.
Yes, I know him. We all trained, together.
When you look at the general outlook of the military, is this a military that you were envisaging to have left in set of position, or there has been some transformative growth and development within the army?
But remember, after the late President Akbe Dr. Tishan Kabah got reinstated, he was the commander-in-chief. Mm-hmm. Then the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces Act 2000 was passed. I don't know the details of what was in that act, but what that act has done for the armed forces is to say it's an institution that is constitutional, and nothing should be done to neither degrade nor draw down the way as it is. If you understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the first point. The second point is, I think they've now developed the capability to train peacekeeping troops and contribute to
PSO, peace support operations.
Peace support operations in places like Sudan. Unfortunately, they've closed down now, mm-hmm. and in parts in Somalia. So I think that's that's loads and loads of kudos to them.
On the army to be seen apolitical.
Apolitical. Yeah.
That's your wish.
That's my dream.
I am not sure I intended to put you on the spotlight, retired Captain Strasser. If we are to go to the polls tomorrow, the 27th, I'm not saying tomorrow, the 27th, I'm only making an example. If we are to go to the polls tomorrow morning,
Yep.
don't tell me who you're going to vote for. Still, the people of this country sees you as somebody that has this embodiment of a nationalistic spirit. Somebody pretty much content. Ever since you returned to the country, you have been in that little village there, living your life peacefully, unnoticed. What will you tell the people of this country to be guided come the 27th of March 2018, Tuesday, as they go to the poll for the second round, in terms of what perhaps will constitute the bigger risk chosen between retired Brigadier Julius Maada and Dr. Matthew Kamara?
I think the people should put personalities aside and try and look at the development issues involved in terms of how those affect their day-to-day, means of livelihood in their smaller communities. Which of these two stands better to deliver in the short and into the medium term should be a more preferred choice.
And in your view, who will that be?
I'd rather support a candidate whose party is majority in the House.
So in this case, the APC.
That's right.
How is your business thriving, your computer outfit? How is it doing?
Sponsors are most of these politicians who see the community development, type of people.
Okay.
The elections, everybody's focused around elections these days, so things are slowing down.
When we have concluded this election business, are you looking forward to any potential assistance to drive the growth and development of that vicinity?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
On this note, I want to thank you so much, retired Captain Valentine Strasser, for making your way to our studios, talking to us here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And this is how I bring out the curtain in this extra program, with my guest being the former head of state, retired Captain Melvin Strasser. I have been the presenter of the program. My name is Abdul Rahman.